This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If your business isn't showing up at the top of search engine optimization, maybe your website doesn't convert to mobile, or you need a better online presence, check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details today. Joining us inside of the Pyramid Contractor Studio today is Patrick Sittenauer and Steve Johnson with Doering Fleet Management. Thanks, guys, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation.
For anybody that doesn't know what Doering Fleet Management is, Steve, can you go ahead and start us off and tell us what it is?
You bet. Well, Doering Fleet Management is a way not only for fleets, but individuals, businesses of all kind, to have an alternative way of financing their fleet. There's a whole host of options that go along with it. And it's a way that many large companies use. And we've scaled it down so anybody with a vehicle from 1 to 1,000 can use it and get the same kind of benefits.
Patrick, I guess that brings us to the question, what is a fleet? How do you define what a fleet is?
That's a good question. Fleet could just the vehicles that the company needs. You know, we will work with 5, we'll work with individuals, but a fleet typically that works with us are usually about 10 to 500 is kind of our sweet spot.
Wow, okay.
But, you know, we've got fleets even larger than that. And like I said, we will do just one vehicle. So, but our sweet spot is probably that 15 to 500.
Which is a very wide range.
Yes.
You guys describe on your website Doering Fleet Management as a layered company like a cake. So explain to us, what are the layers of Doering Fleet Management and how do those kind of tiers work?
Sure. We got multiple different options that we are able to do, and it's all a la carte. But we started off as a leasing company.
Mhm.
Chip Daring started it and marketing to busy people like doctors, lawyers, people that didn't really have the time to go to dealerships, go into DMV. He would go and get vehicles, let them test drive it while they didn't even have to leave their office.
Wow.
So didn't have to go to the dealerships and be hounded by the salespeople. He took care of it all for them.
Mhm.
So that's how we really started, was with leasing. We do open-end leasing, which helps out with cash flow and also gives them the opportunity to actually build equity into it. So the layers, go back to your question, layers, we have the leasing. We also do have managed maintenance programs.
Mhm.
When companies have more than 15 vehicles or multiple locations, that's really when it comes in handy, being able to use our fleet management company, where you have somebody looking over your vehicles during the maintenance process. We also have fuel management with fuel cards, help keep down costs and theft with that, and be able to manage your fuel usage. We have telematics. We have just guidance.
I was going to ask about what are telematics and how are they helping drivers and you guys as a business kind of maintain the car?
Sure. Telematics is a tracking device that connects to the vehicle and will communicate the odometer readings, the miles, where they've gone, their speed, hard braking. It's a really good way to find out how your drivers are performing in the vehicles, but also to make sure that there's multiple different layers with telematics, and that's a whole other thing.
So it tests like speeding, hard braking, things like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And reports it back, and if there's any kind of fault codes on it, it'll report back into the system saying, hey, this is what you got an engine light on.
And Steve, I'm assuming this helps with the company manage their drivers and the expectations of when you're giving a leased vehicle to one of your employees to maintain.
So you go to the more granular level and you're like, okay, well, we know that this can track driver behavior. It can track, where they're at, what their productivity is. But the bigger picture is a safety thing. So as anybody in business knows, anybody that has insurance for the vehicles, everybody watches their rates climb, right? So
that was my next question. This
yes,
has got to help with insurance, right?
This is where it comes into play, is that you can take it at that most granular level and look driver to driver, but then you can look at your fleet as a whole picture, whether that's 5 to 10 vehicles, whatever. And insurance companies like that, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be hiring, you're going to be doing the right drivers, and that's going to help on your overall insurance cost. So the more safety equipment, and because I would call that almost a safety item.
For sure.
The more safety equipment you have in a vehicle, the more your insurance is happy, and the better chance you have of lowering your rates, which everybody wants to do right now.
Yeah, for sure. Patrick, you guys also offer electric vehicles. How has the advent of Tesla and other electrical vehicles kind of changed the way that Daring's doing business, or is it just, hey, it's just a different service we offer?
Yeah, one of the interesting things is we were the first company that was able to lease Teslas outside of
very cool.
Tesla themselves, and we would actually buy vehicles directly from them. And there was many states that if they don't have a Tesla store there,
sure, can't get them.
You can't do a lease.
Yeah.
They can still purchase it, but you can't do a structure lease inside that state. But electric vehicles they're great for a lot of the local delivery companies.
Yeah.
To be able to keep costs down. They do have that initial higher cost, but when you're not spending on that fuel and it's over $4 a gallon, it really helps out. So we really wanted to be in early with electric vehicles, and Tesla was pretty much the first one, and we really teamed up with them, I would say more than 8 years ago or so, probably 10 or more.
I think Steve, we ask this question every episode, and it's more so for the listener to find the ideal client. I think I'm the most interested one to hear the answers. Who is the ideal client for Doering Fleet Management?
Well, that's a great question, and it's one that before coming here I actually thought a lot about. So, when you talk with business owners and stuff, of course you want people with A credit, you want longevity, you want all this stuff. But what I've learned in my time at Doering is those are all great. But what I want to do is I want to talk to my ideal client is somebody who's curious. Somebody who is curious about learning different ways of managing their fleet. We are all guilty of getting settled into our practice in life, whatever that is.
Good point.
And we don't always want to get out of our comfort zone because we know and it's comfortable. And so what we do is a really advantageous program. Now, is it for everybody? No, but there's for a lot more people than they think. So for somebody that's curious, somebody that wants to learn about a different way of doing something, and open-minded, that's the perfect client to me. It doesn't matter if they've been in business for a year or 20 years, because if we can't help somebody, I'm always going to try to find them somebody that can help them. Sure. And that's how we do it. So curiosity. What about you, Pat? What do you think?
That's a good answer.
Well, Patrick, I want to ask because I'm thinking this is a sole proprietor buying or leasing a vehicle. There's terms on years, there's terms on mileage, things like that. Is that the same case with Doering as well?
No.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We use open-end lease, which is really meant for businesses and or high mileage applications.
Sure.
So
So you guys go into it with a thought process. There's going to be quite a few miles on these vehicles by the time it's done.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. So in a nutshell, and this is what we tell a lot of our clients then too, is when people think of leasing, they think of the leases that are offered at dealerships, which are closed-end leases.
Okay.
In closed-end leases, the residual is placed on the leasor. And a residual is the end of term dollar amount. Okay. It's a predetermined dollar amount at the end of the term.
Right.
So the leasor, let's say it's like Ford Financial or Toyota Financial or somebody like that is the leasor. They want to sell that vehicle at that residual or higher. If they don't, they lose money. Right. So they restrict the client, the leasee, on how many miles they can go. They can't have damage on the vehicle. It has to be returned, in great shape.
It's a good thing there's hail in Omaha.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So what we do, but that doesn't necessarily work great for businesses or the high mileage applications for individuals that they have. So we place the residual on the leasee, giving them the opportunity to actually build equity, because at the end of the term, that residual is their responsibility. We set a safe residual. Let's say we sell it for $10,000 over that residual. That $10,000 is theirs.
Wow. Okay. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it kind of structured. It's in between like the lease that you see at a dealership and a loan. So it gives them the opportunity to build equity. does not restrict on how many miles they can go. Don't care if they have damage on it, but they still can build equity with the vehicle.
We're catching up with Patrick Sittenauer and Steven Jensen here of Doering Fleet Management on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. Steven, I'll start with you with this. I mean, when I think of fleets, I think of trucks or cube vans. You guys offer a ton of different stuff. What type of vehicles do you offer from a fleet standpoint, or just in general?
Well, that's the great thing about it. This is what we tell our customers a lot of the time. Well, almost all the time. We can do a Kia, we can do a Lamborghini, we can do a Freightliner box truck. We can do about anything as long as it can be registered and put on the road. We'll do it. So, fleet is a term that we use in the sense that kind of a universal thing.
It's broad strokes. Yeah, for sure.
But we do it all. You'll get a lot of the business owners. They'll maybe have a bunch of vans that are specially upfitted, have all the accoutrements inside for rack shelving systems. But then you have a business owner that may have a Mercedes that he does to his business too. So we don't have an ideal or a perfect person when it comes to a fleet. We do it all.
If you guys see me driving around a Lamborghini around Omaha, you know where it came from.
Yeah, we can do it. We do them all the time.
Patrick, from a business standpoint, on paper, it feels like leasing a Lamborghini and leasing a cube truck would be two very vastly different things. Is it as simple as that, or is it just, hey, it's 4 wheels and an engine and we have clients?
Well, that's a good question. It can be simple without using us because we help out.
That's the right answer, by the way.
With the relationships that we have with all the dealerships, and it does make, and the banks also, which leads to another quick question too. Is the banks, the relationships that we have with the banks, we're able to get some really aggressive rates.
Is that because you guys have power of buying by and large? It's the Costco model, right? Yeah, absolutely. We're just doing this for Lamborghinis.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, no, I've got some clients that we have some clients that, we got their fleet, their vehicles for their business, but then they have their executive vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be higher dollar ones. And what some might do is like, okay, let's put this, in the business name. And then at the end, hey, I have the opportunity to buy it at that predetermined dollar amount.
Oh, okay.
And so if they like that vehicle and then want to keep it, they buy it. And then and that dollar amount is usually a lot less than what the going rate for a used vehicle is.
Is that end process usually the more rare occasion where somebody wants to buy it at the end, or does that happen pretty frequently?
It's more when it comes to the business, it's probably more rare because they start wearing down after, let's say 5-6 years or something like that. There's a lot of miles on them. That's when maintenance starts picking up. That's the best time to get rid of these vehicles and get into new ones before they get too costly.
Mm-hmm.
So, a majority do like to replace, and that's where you're trying to control your costs. And, you use the factory warranties to help keep your costs down then too.
I want to ask about the relationships with car dealerships because there's so many great ones here in the Omaha area. I mean, I think about Onyx Automotive, Greg Young, whoever it may be, and obviously both ends of the spectrum there from a financial standpoint. What does that process look like for you guys? How do you maintain those relationships, and how is it reciprocated? I guess.
Yeah. You want it?
You can run with it.
I want you both to answer that question because I think it'd be interesting.
Good thing. I'll
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Patrick. Go ahead.
So being here for 8 years, we built relationships with a lot of the local dealerships. In fact, they want us to buy from them because we're buying thousands of vehicles. So, it's
a good day when you guys walk on the lot.
Yes. Yeah. So the relationships are really good. So they're not losing out on any sales.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a sale to them. It's just we're doing all the financing for it. Now, the great thing is we are nationwide. I have clients from Seattle to Tampa Bay and from Houston to Minneapolis. And we have dealership connections with dealers all over the country.
Very cool.
So we need vehicles out in Florida. We've got dealers in Florida and in North Carolina, and we have those relationships and they want to sell to us. So
this may come off as off-putting, and I don't mean it that way. This is a general question. Like, do you have to maintain those relationships, or is the finite dollar amount that you guys are spending enough to kind of when the phone rings, they're happy to see your phone number?
Well, that's a great question, and I think and I wish I could give you a broad stroke on that, but it's
because it's probably different for everybody, right?
It's different. You have more dealers that are more fleet centric, that deal with what we do more often. You'll have other dealers that don't deal it at all, that have no idea how to interact with us.
Sure.
So we just have really cultivated those relationships, like Pat was saying, nationwide and locally. And typically they like working with our company. We pay fast. We don't have a lot of issues that come along with dealing with us. So that usually in of itself, the GMs of those places, because salespeople come and go, but the GMs typically stay, and they like to do business with us because of that. So I think it's just our consistency and easy to work with. Those are the relationships that we really are symbiotic with.
Well, I'm sure if you got to fly down to Tampa in, I don't know, February to help maintain a relationship, not a bad problem to have, right?
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah, no problem. I'm right there with you. Patrick, I want to ask about the municipal portion of what you guys do. It's not just businesses. It's not just individuals. You guys are helping out government entities as well. Where does that relationship come from?
Really, that we do have a team that focuses on that.
Okay.
I have worked with some municipalities before, but we do have one.
Those are state employees for non-educated folks.
We do have a team that really focuses on them, who've been in that industry for quite a bit. I don't really dabble too much in that. So what happens if I've got a city that's interested in it, I usually pass it on to them if they're starting to look for like
the team, you mean?
Yeah. With police cars and snow removal vehicles and all that. A lot of those are in FRP, so I let them.
What's FRP?
RFP.
Request
for purchase.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Request for purchase. So
because it has to be. It's not like nobody's out looking for 10 snow plows, right?
Right. Well, and then that's what that team does. They all came from that world of dealing with municipalities from the state, local, up to federal level. So we've got vehicles in all those segments, but they do really good at it. And there's a lot of specialty stuff that goes into that.
Yeah.
So
has to be, right?
Yeah, there is. But what's fantastic about the way that Doering is situated is that some teams work autonomously, but there's no autonomy as far as sharing clients, working with clients, and taking that experience for everybody, that they can make it worth their time. So if we got somebody that needs municipalities, we turn them over to those guys in our department. They rock at it. They're awesome.
That has to be the most unique portion of what you guys do, though, right? The municipality portion of it, just probably because the federal regulations that go along with it, right? What's the difference between managing a lease like that and leasing 40 cube trucks, let's say, for a trucking company?
I would say it's your barrier to entry. So if you're Jimmy, so what you're asking is, are we, what's
the difference, I guess? Yeah.
So municipalities are going to be a very, very complex, long sales cycle early on. Okay. A lot of times we'll work with a client that needs something in a month, and we can usually always get it done. So those municipalities take longer to get to. But once you're doing it, it's the same no matter who it is. It's the same thing. You're getting the correct vehicles. You're putting them on the right life cycle. You're doing it so that at the end of this thing, these guys have some equity built into it.
Sure.
So it's the middle to end portion is exactly the same. It's just the entry level is a little bit more difficult in the municipalities.
What is the most unique service that Doering offers? Patrick, we'll start with you. This is the electrical vehicle portion of it?
No. And you mentioned service, and it's not necessarily the actual vehicles that we deliver.
Okay.
It's the service. It's them saving them time. We have a team that goes and registers vehicles throughout the whole country.
Takes the DMV out of the equation for them, then, right?
Yes, yeah. Saves them a lot of time there.
Because everybody loves the DMV.
Yeah, it's
exactly. And then in the upfitting, we have relationships with a lot of these upfitting vendors, which is like
what is an upfitting vendor?
Yeah, it's so anytime that you see a specialty truck, whether that's you see somebody out on the side of the road changing some tires, anything that takes a normal vehicle or a van or a truck and they add stuff on it to do their stuff. So a bucket truck, a service truck. So upfitting is an internal term that we use, but we specialize in all of that. So that's a unique service, because a lot of times when people go and they purchase a vehicle on their own through a traditional loan or whatever, the banks don't want to fund that portion of the extra.
Because there's extra risk.
Yeah, there's extra risk, and they don't see a lot of value in that at the end. So we have such wonderful relations with our banks that our banks are more than happy to put that into funding. Yeah. So what that does is, it saves them a lot of chunk of change up front. To answer, Pat's answer is great. I would tell you that our most unique product, and this is going to probably sound a little corny, but I truly mean it, is the product of our people. Doering has done a very good job of growing slowly and selectively and choosing the right individuals, whether it's on the operations team, whether it's the sales team. We get the best customer service awards because we've got the best people. So I would say that what we do isn't rocket science. This is pretty basic financial stuff, but it comes with people that really give high levels of customer service.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. That was a very corny answer, but every successful business has been in here. That's been their answer to that question, by the way.
It's if you would have told me, years ago when I started that I would answer a question like that, I'd probably, oh my goodness.
It's giving out Lamborghinis. Of course it is.
Yeah, but it really is. And that's Pat and I both came from a very similar world. Our career paths are arced very similar. And the reason we both decided to come over here was the levels of service we could provide. That was the closing deal for us.
And we're catching up with Patrick Sittenauer and Stephen Johnson of Doering Fleet Management here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. I want to ask about the Omaha aspect of it for a minute. The business starts in Milwaukee. We're talking about doing business from Seattle to Tampa, Houston, to Minneapolis, and everywhere in between. Omaha was the first satellite office out of Milwaukee. I don't hope you guys don't mind me sharing this. You said it off camera. You said it's gone incredibly well. Why has it done so well in Omaha, in your opinion, Patrick?
Well, we did have a great support from our team there in Milwaukee, but they also started us with people that have been in the lease industry,
sure,
fleet management for years. I started back in '96 with a large corporate trucking company, not trucking company, truck leasing company, fleet management company.
Sure.
I guess I can say it.
I
started with Penske back in '96.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And then
when you said it, everybody just saw the yellow truck anyway, so it's fine. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And then I worked for a truck dealership, a local one here, for a few years, and then I went to Ryder. And so I have been in transportation and leasing for quite some time.
Why?
So, I don't know. That's a good question. Are
you passionate about it? Do you feel like you're passionate? No. Okay.
Passionate? No. It happened to be
what you're good at
the time.
Sure.
And once you start to understand all the regulations, rules, and what helps the clients out, you're
knowledgeable.
To help.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. So, what was
why did it work in Omaha? Yeah,
is because we already knew what we needed to get to our clients,
sure,
how to explain leasing. So it just kind of grew and worked out just right because we already had connections with companies. We already knew the business. We just needed to know the Doering way.
This is going to make it sound like I'm taking a shot at Penske, and I'm not, but it doesn't feel like what we're talking about here, what Penske or HMC, that it seems like apples and oranges, right? This isn't even remotely close to the same thing. Is it fair to say that?
I would tell you that is correct.
Okay.
We swim in the same waters, but we do different things.
Yeah.
And so, as Pat said, my career arc was very similar. I started in 2007 at Penske, did the Ryder thing. So I'm just a little bit later than Pat in all of this. But that's really, yes, we look for the same kind of customers, but Penske, Ryder, they are really focused on the heavy, the over the road stuff, which we do and we love to do. But they do a guaranteed maintenance it's a much different animal.
Yeah,
it's a much different animal. And the cool thing is there's enough out there for all of us to do it because Penske and Ryder, even though Pat and I have moved on and do something different, they do a great job and we do a great job.
I don't mean to laugh, but it's crazy how much that sentence, there's enough out there for all of us to do it, keeps coming up in this room, whether it's a roofer, a deck builder, a lawyer, photographer, whoever. And it just seems like it's a unique thing to Omaha where everybody's like, oh, yeah, I'm so-and-so deck company, but I sent this guy that also does decks a bid the other day because I was just too busy because, hey, let's just all eat at the same table. Do you guys feel like that's something that's unique to Omaha?
I feel that yes, I think so. I think it is unique to Omaha. And I think it's because we all have a sense of community here for the most part. And it's it's a big city with a lot of small town. I mean, it doesn't take very long to get connections between all of us.
This is episode 336 of this podcast.
So you're hearing a presented message.
And I've never asked anybody about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's come up organically at least 90% of the time. It's incredible to keep. Because when I first started doing this, I was like, I can't wait to get into cutthroat discussion about business and how it's dog eat dog and it's $1 for everybody and you got to earn it. And everybody's like, no, it's just, whatever. If I don't have time on a Saturday, I give it to so-and-so. And it's just incredible that just seems to be an Omaha-based thing. When we talk about Doering locally in Omaha, Patrick, where do you see the most growth over the next 3 to 5 years for Doering in Omaha?
That's a good question, because we actually did come up with a 5-year plan just recently, and with that, we hired a sales coordinator just recently, this last 7 months or so, which is the first satellite location that actually had some other administrative work. Our growth is to help as many customers as possible be able to save their time and money, of course. But we see it probably doubling in size and people and clients and administrative people. So that's our goal.
Steven, same question for you.
Well, I think to echo on Pat said, we have a 5-year plan, and we really do plan on between sales support, salespeople, and clients. We're going to be doubling that, but I would tell you that our focus, at least my focus individually, would be on the trades. And what we've seen is in Nebraska, in the Midwest in general, but Nebraska, there's always been longtime business owners, whether it's a roofing company, construction company. They loved
over 350 roofing companies in Omaha, by the way.
It's wild.
Omaha.
It's wild. And I mean, there's business.
Check out pyramidroof.com, by the way. Sorry.
I love it.
Yeah.
So when we look at that, there is enough out there for everybody, whether it's roofing, whatever. We're going to stay in that market. But what I've noticed is that Nebraska, Omaha specifically, there's companies that have always done what they've done and they loved it. And it's always been a sign of strength to own their fleet or do what they've always done. And now, as we have people that retire, and we have new business owners or people coming over, they're looking for a different way of maximizing their cash. Cash flow is king these days.
Yeah.
Pricing on everything is so high. It's like, what can we do? What can we get the best rate of return on? And this is where we come in, because, you may pay a little bit more on a monthly payment, but when you look about what you can put that money towards instead of buying an asset, your rate of return is so much higher. So that's what we're going to be looking for, and it's already starting to happen. We're having a lot of those conversations and bringing people aboard.
A couple of questions trickling in for the socials. Chris on LinkedIn wants to know, do they do financing for painters and paint trucks?
Absolutely.
Well, I'll ask now just to get this out of the way. How can they find you if they're looking to maybe lease a fleet or a vehicle?
Pat, you're always better on that. I always mumble. Nobody can understand.
Through Facebook, I'll say our phone number.
Yeah, please do.
And you can give your cell phone number too. But my cell phone is 402-578-9057.
No inappropriate messages.
Yeah. By email, it's Patrick S. at Doering Fleet. That's DOERING fleet.com. You can message me through Facebook, through LinkedIn. Reach out, just ask some questions.
We'll tag Doering in the socials after the live feed is done.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, we're working right now with the great crew at Pixel Fire about getting an updated landing page and kind of optimizing that stuff. You can reach
your new website, pixelfiremarketing.com. Go ahead.
They're awesome, by the way. Fantastic company to work with. You can reach me, cell phone. I'm out all the time. So call me on my cell phone, 402-770-6758. 402-770-6758. But yes, that was Chris who asked that.
Chris,
Chris, we absolutely do that. And what I tell all of our customers, if you're a fit with us, great. If you're not, we're always going to try to find a way to get you to the right people.
He followed up. We need 3 trucks. So that would be described as a fleet. So yes, that's absolutely.
It would. And
Sarah asked, do you work with doctors? Do you work with nurses and nurse groups as well?
Yes.
I didn't know a nurse group was a thing. So Sarah, thanks for that.
A lot of home health care nurses, things like that. So absolutely we do.
There's some franchise companies we work with too. We save them quite a bit of time with not having to organize getting the wrap, the wrap, the outfitting, like with shelving inside, the ladder racks. We'll move it from the dealer to each one of those locations and schedule it all, and they just focus on their business. So.
I'm sure you guys knew this was coming. It's what you do. What's your favorite car you've ever leased out to somebody?
Well, I would say there's 2 of them.
We'll accept 2 answers.
There's a G-Wagon.
Okay.
G-Wagon, but also the Mercedes-Benz. Was it the SL63? It's the Roadster.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Patrick's a Mercedes guys, folks.
Well, so this is a shameless self-plug because I practice what I preach. So don't judge me, anybody. But since I was a kid, 16 Candles, the Jake Ryan Porsche, 944. last year I was like, I'm going to pull the trigger and get one. So I leased it to myself through the company. It's my favorite car I've ever leased to anybody. It's mine.
To your favorite person. Yeah.
Yeah. To my favorite person, but it's fantastic.
Guys, if you don't mind, Patrick, can you give your cell phone one more time? And Steve, will have you do yours after.
Yep. 402-578-9057.
Steven.
402-770-6758.
This is Patrick and Steven with the Doering Fleet Management Company. If you are looking to lease a vehicle or maybe lease a fleet, work with them at those numbers or the website that they plugged or their socials as well. This has been the Spotlight Omaha podcast brought to you by Pixel Fire Market and Pyramid Contractors. We'll be back at 11 tomorrow. Thanks for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. We'll see you in the morning.